Hey, it's Nate. Great to see you. The weather is so nice out lately, so I'm gonna have a picnic. Yeah, my friends and I are gonna go to a park, bring food and drinks, and just have a beautiful day. Everyone's gonna pitch in. To pitch in is to contribute, to help out. So everyone will bring some food or drinks to share. It'll be so fun. Why don't you warm up with that?
Pitch in. Pitch in. Nate's friends are gonna pitch in. Nate's friends are gonna pitch in.
Nate 的朋友都会贡献。
Nate's friends are gonna pitch in. Nate's friends are gonna pitch in.
That's a solid start. Today, I'm going to teach you how to use will. This word lets us talk about the future, so it's helpful for planning the picnic. For example, I will bring a blanket. I use will to say what my intention is for a future action. In this case, it's my intention to bring a blanket to the picnic. You know, for us to sit on. That's how I'll pitch in. Oh, and check this out. It's more common to blend the subject, I, and will together. So I will becomes I'll. I'll bring a blanket. You can do this with any subject, like she'll bring wine and cheese. She'll is short for she will. Audrey told me she'll bring wine and cheese. If someone is pitching in two items like wine and cheese, just link them with and. She'll bring wine and cheese. Got it? Let's practice then.
I will. I will. I'll. I'll bring a blanket. I'll bring a blanket. She'll bring wine and cheese. She'll bring wine and cheese.
我会带一条毯子来。
I'll bring a blanket. I'll bring a blanket. He'll bring a soccer ball. He'll bring a soccer ball.
他会带酒和起司来。
She'll bring wine and cheese. She'll bring wine and cheese.
他会带一颗足球来。
He'll bring a soccer ball. He'll bring a soccer ball.
Nice job. That was a long practice, and you nailed it. So, back to the picnic. I'll bring the blanket. Audrey will bring the wine and cheese. I think we need a fun activity to do. I know. Will you bring a frisbee? Yep. You can use will to ask questions. Just put will before the subject like you in the sentence. I want to know if you are willing to bring a frisbee. That's one of those discs that, you throw in the air, so will you bring a frisbee? Oh my gosh, I have problems with my car. Will you give me a ride? To give someone a ride is to drive them in your car. And since my car is getting fixed right now, will you give me a ride? Just think about it. I can ask Audrey too. But, will you practice these sentences for me? Yeah, let's get speaking.
Will you bring a frisbee? Will you bring a frisbee? Will you give me a ride? Will you give me a ride?
你能带飞盘来吗？
Will you bring a frisbee? Will you bring a frisbee?
你能载我一程吗？
Will you give me a ride? Will you give me a ride?
Nice speaking. Let's take a closer look at that last one. Will you give me a ride? Here, I'm asking you to give me a ride. In other words, a ride is what you give to me. The order of these words shows who receives something, like a ride in this case. Will you give me a ride? Let's check out one more example of this. Will you give Audrey a call? Now, a call is what I'm asking you to give to Audrey. This means to call her on the phone. Will you give Audrey a call? Okay, let's practice that one more time, real quick.
Will you give me a ride? Will you give me a ride? Will you give Audrey a call? Will you give Audrey a call?
你能载我一程吗？
Will you give me a ride? Will you give me a ride?
你能打个电话给 Audrey 吗？
Will you give Audrey a call? Will you give Audrey a call?
Will you just let me appreciate this moment for a sec? I am so proud of you. And here's one more chance to make me proud. Let's practice. Everything all together.
我会带一条毯子来。
I'll bring a blanket. I'll bring a blanket.
他会带酒和起司来。
She'll bring wine and cheese. She'll bring wine and cheese.
你能带飞盘来吗？
Will you bring a frisbee? Will you bring a frisbee?
你能载我一程吗？
Will you give me a ride? Will you give me a ride?
Well, you definitely made me proud. I hope you're proud of yourself too. Today, we practiced using will to talk about our intentions for the future. A very useful word for planning something in the future, like the picnic. All right, it's time for me to go, but I'll see you around real soon. Catch you later.